Okay.
Hello, today I have the lovely Rob with me, finally. Hiya, Rob, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, I will. Hiya, Donna. It's lovely to finally be on a call with you. How are you today? Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you. All the better for speaking to you. Been very excited.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much for your patience with me. Donna's been wonderful while COVID did the rounds of my family and the school and, and then eventually me. So yeah, I'm Rob Parker. I'm the author of 10 books now, I think, under my own name, 16 if you count the ones I've ghostwritten, which I can't talk about because of various NDAs. But I am a married father of 3, very, very happy, very, very lucky, very, very blessed. This could all blow up any minute, but I'm very happy to be here, and every day is for living, hence me coming to you from the pub with a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, I think that's the first, so that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's Friday. Come on.
So did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
Yeah, I did always, I always knew I wanted to be involved in stories. I didn't really know whether it was going to be a writer, as in like a novelist, because where I grew up in the Warrington area of the Northwest, you just didn't know that authors existed outside of libraries and, you know, very like rich people. I thought it was just, you know, they were very well-to-do, sort of crusty little old guys who were in libraries, that kind of stuff. And whereas, and that's ridiculous because I was always in our local library and I never saw any of them in there, but I just didn't think it was something I was allowed to do or that was open to me, that storytelling was something, you know, being a lad from a northern town. And I suppose from lots of towns all over the country, you just don't know whether this kind of thing is available to you. And it was always sort of squeezed out of me to a certain extent academically. Like, you know, when you want to go to university, I said I wanted to go to university to study film because I thought that would be my way into telling stories. And I was flat out told, no, you can't do that. The school said, no, we're not going to let you go and do that. So it was like I was very much angled a certain direction. And this was before people did, you know, like mass visits into schools and stuff like that. You know, like you get people coming into schools now, like from all manner of incredible industries. And the only person we ever had was a bird watcher. And I just thought, like, is that what I'm supposed to be? You know? So I didn't know I was allowed to be an author coming from where I came from. But I always wanted to be involved in stories. So I was always writing, always reading, always writing growing up. Never out of the library. I was always very, very happy in books. I'd always be writing when I was on holiday as well, buying notebooks from the corner shop. And yeah, that stayed with me until I was 29. So I was still doing all sorts of different jobs. I was a delivery driver, barman in this pub, actually. There's a barman here. This is the Plough in Warrington, in Croft, by the way, everyone. And they look after me fabulous in here, by the way. But they, I was the barman here 18 years ago. So it's so, and some of the same people still come in.
Like
so
you.
it's really weird. Yeah, like me. So it's, I was constantly looking for that outlet. You know, I wanted to be able to tell stories. I had a brilliant upbringing in stories through watching old movies with my grandpa. My granddad was the one. My granddad was the one who showed me a love of, wow, the fantastic, the impossible, and I just always wanted to cling on to that. Always wanted to, but never knew I was going to have the chance. I think that's the best way to describe that.
So what was the push then? What made you decide one day, that's it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to go for it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I've always loved sport. A really weird way to start answering that question, but I've always loved sport. And I injured my knees playing football, and I needed 6 knee surgeries on across both legs, so 3 on one, 3 on the other, and it gave me 18 months out of work. And this was when Jeremy Kyle was still on the air. And it was just like having this just morass of awful daytime television was just melting me, just melting my brain. And I'd forgotten to keep reading, really. You know, the stuff that I've always been into that was always an anchor for me was books and reading. And I'd forgotten to keep reading. So I started reading again. That pulled me back out. And then I started to think, like, this could be my shot. You know, like, I've suddenly got all this time with like I'm expressly told to do nothing here. And if I don't take this opportunity now, I might never take it. So I wrote the first Ben Bracken book in that period. 6 weeks it took me, the very first one. And pub dog's shown up. Sounds a bit bigger than he usually does. And I just took the opportunity with both hands, and I've sort of never stopped. That is the thing. Since then, you know, I went back into do bits and pieces of work, but it was always to supplement what I wanted to do with my writing career. But yeah, it was really getting injured that did it. And I'm definitely a silver linings guy. You know, when opportunities come along, two hands, grab them, two hands. So yeah.
Awesome. that's cool, actually. It's funny with men, actually, that they tend to sit down and write because they have no excuse not to for some reason or other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that it was like, right, you can't keep putting it off, Rob, you know. And before that, I'd be driving in the delivery van, I'd be parking up in places all over on my lunch hour and whatever, and I'd be writing in the van, not for anybody or anything, just for me, you know. This was before I'd written anything. I was writing lots of terrible screenplays back then, which were truly awful, you know. Like, it's not like one day they're going to come to me and say, do you have any dynamite screenplays lying around at home? The answer is no, I really don't. Unless you're into the Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting raptors screenplay I did, hoping that the makers of Jurassic Park would pick that up, but they never did, you know. What can you do?
It sounds awesome. Like, this needs to happen.
I know. You know, I've still got this Hollywood. I've still got the screenplay.
But there we go. It's going to happen now. This is it. This is the day.
Thank you.
So what was, where did your idea come from then? Or did you have an idea, or when you were injured, did you think, okay, I'm going to write, but what the hell am I going to write?
Yes, this one was, I've always been, well, a while back I tried to be a soldier, and couldn't pass the medical because of the knee situation. So my grandfather was a commando, this was my other grandfather, this is my grandpa. He was a commando and was a prisoner of war for 4 years as well in World War II. And just that sacrifice just lived with me so much, you know. And then at the same time, in the early 2000s, going, well, right the way through the 20 noughties, you call them that? 20 zeros? I don't know. Them years. All people who were like close to my age were going away to Iraq and then Afghanistan. And I had like 3 friends here who all went off to serve. And they all eventually came back around the time that I was, you know, that I was starting to write. And one came back like, this is my job, this is what I've waited all my life to do. And he was very well balanced about it. Another guy came back and he was so riddled with PTSD that he couldn't go through dinner without thinking about evac choppers. He just couldn't do it, you know, because he'd served on one. And the third one came back and the bloodshed had got to him. He'd gone into like a psychopath. He just, like, it had just completely flipped it. All he could talk about was killing. It was all he could talk about. And obviously, you know, I haven't seen him anymore because, you know, I'd become a father and I couldn't really have that around my children, you know, and I felt bad for not wanting that to be around me, if you know what I mean, you know, but it was another cost. He was another casualty of that war. So I was fascinated about what happens when you come home from all of that. And what do you do if you just can't find it in you to let the duty go? And how do you keep going? You know, what happens if, like, thanks for all that, thanks for all those people that you've killed, thanks for all those situations that you barely survived, but now you're going to have to go and get a normal job. You know, and like, how do you possibly do that? So that has always fascinated me, and that led me to write the Ben Bracken series, which were 5 books so far. Don't know what I can. No, it's 5 books so far. I'm not under any contract with that, so I can definitely say it's not like a secret Ben Bracken book out there that's coming or whatever. But no, definitely, I enjoyed that, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it's got a really nice. There's a really nice group of devout readers for the Bracken books, which I'll always be grateful for, because that was the first thing I did.
And then after that, what did you do?
Well, I wanted to write about Brexit happened, you know, so I wanted to look at what Brexit was doing to smaller communities. And I wrote I really wanted to write I was reading a lot of like modern Westerns, and, you know, like American Westerns. And I really wanted to do like a British kind of post-Brexit Western, if you know what I mean. It was just like all these people who suddenly have had their livelihoods sort of fundamentally altered, and what choices it would lead you to take and lead you to make. And that's where I went with that. So that's called Crooks Hollow. And I absolutely loved it. I had such a blast. I think it was like 60,000 words, something like that. And that's, you know, shorter than anything I'd written before. It was really exciting just to sit down and do that and get all that out. And I hope, you know, one of my publishers, Loom Books, have that one. And I really hope that it finds an audience somewhere along the line, you know, because I had a lot of fun with that. And I think it's got a few nice little surprises in it.
Sounds awesome. If you were to be picked up and transported into any of your own books as a character, which would you choose?
Oh my word, well, because I only ever write about places I go and that I've been, you know. Even if I've changed the name of them, it's always a real place, you know. I only ever change the name of people and of places, sorry, and buildings and stuff, if I do something terrible there or paint them in a disparaging light. So I'm kind of already a character in all these books. I'm just the weirdo who sits in the corner of the pub with a Guinness watching people like, oh, because I'm literally doing it right now. So, you know, and I'm waving to people like, how you doing? You all right? You know, so I'm already in them. I'm just the fly on the wall guy, you know. But whether I, you know, I know a lot of my friends think that I act out certain fantasies with the Ben Bracken character, and that I can assure you that is so far from the case. Because that's not, it's not me.
We believe you.
Thank you.
Would you date any of your characters?
Date them? This is the one. Would I? I mean, whether I would advise it, whether I'd advise dating one of the characters is one. Because obviously I'm very happily married, so I wouldn't be in the dating market at all.
I'll take that out of the equation, obviously.
Take that out of the equation, yeah. Okay. No, I think certain. I'm drawn to people who are probably not the best people to date. As in, I'm not drawn to them romantically. I mean, as I'm drawn to write about them. So I like people who are outliers, who've got their own things going on, that they're on the cusp of their own problems all the time. And I think, because I think that's what makes people interesting. So I wouldn't necessarily want anyone, you know, if I like them, I wouldn't say go and date them, because they're only ever going to bring problems and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend romantic intertwining with any of my characters, I don't think, really. Although that doesn't say I don't want them to be happy. You know, there are a couple of the characters who I have big plans for in terms of happiness, possibly. But I'm definitely going to put them through the ringer a bit more. So don't get romantically involved with them yet.
Which of your characters has given you most trouble?
Trouble? Ooh, trouble. One of them gave me a lot of exciting trouble, because I didn't know who the villain of Crooks Hollow was until the end. And it was not just one character going, hey, it was me. It was the person behind who went, it was me as well, who I did not know. I didn't know it was coming at all. So it was actually, there were actually two people involved, and I hadn't planned that at all. But subconsciously, all the way through, I looked back at the book and I was like, oh my God, it actually works. So subconsciously, I must have been thinking that. So I don't know how this works. Our brains work in amazing ways. If anyone were to say to me, wow, what a clever reveal, let me know. No, just an accident, complete accident. I was just having a good time, and that's what happened. Trouble, yeah, in the 30 Miles trilogy at the minute, I've got trouble with Brendan Foley, what to do with him, because I'm writing the third in the series at the moment, and it's where do I send this guy? You know, how far are we going to send this guy into the absolute pit? You know, and we're going to send him. I know we're going to send him. It's just, I'm also fond of him. So I don't, you know, it's like sending someone you love to battle, you know, it's horrible. But yeah, that's how I would answer that question, I think. And obviously, I've got, you know, long-term hopes that some of these characters might survive and come in useful in other works, you know. So I've got to try and keep a couple alive at least.
Which leads me nicely to my next question, which is you must have killed your characters in many horrible ways, but if you were to be a killer in a book, how would you kill someone?
Such a great question. I get, because I do like an inventive passing in a book. I mean, something I've not seen before or not, you know, not read before or anything like that. That always makes me go, wow, you know. And if it can keep me guessing like that, that's brilliant. Like I often laugh with friends on one of the podcasts I'm involved with about how annoying, you know, like how disappointing it is in a film where someone just dies because they've been strangled. You know, like how boring. Come on, do something else. You know, just let's have something. You know, so I don't know what I'd do. I know I had someone run over by a thresher, you know, like a combine harvester, sorry, which was very, very fun to write that. Really fun to write that. What would I do though? I really don't know. I read, I love the American author Andrew Mayne, and he wrote the Naturalist series. And in the second book of that, I think it was the second or possibly the third or fourth, I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but one of the books in that 4-book series was about someone, a nurse killing people in hospitals, and the inventive way of doing that meant that it was so hard to catch them. You know, and I know there's some that, you know, we have the angels of death here, don't we? You know, these cases that actually do happen. I'm not saying that would be my preferred way of going about it, but if I was going to try to get away with something like that, that is possibly the route I would go down. Don't quote me.
No, your secret's safe, it's fine.
Thank you very much. It's only going out on YouTube, that's fine.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so if you were to be fictionally murdered, who would you want to solve your case?
Oh, yes, I love this. I could very easily go for Theo Crane of those Naturalist books, actually. He was just, what a brilliant character he was. And that first Naturalist book really blew me away. You know, using statistics to solve crimes, like essentially solving murders with maths. It was just, and looking at the probability of where serial killers strike, basing it on the movements of like apex wildlife predators. So like, right, great white sharks do this. Perhaps if you took that map and put it on the United States, we could predict the movements of this, you know, absolutely fascinating. So I would say he'd be great at it, but I do really like, well, there's so many great detectives out there, aren't there? You know, just astonishingly super. It's very hard to just pick one. I don't know. I think I would imagine I died in a certain way in this fictional circumstance, which means that I wasn't playing by the book. You know, I was probably researching the next book, actually, wasn't I? And I'd bit off far more than I could chew. And I think Jimmy Mullen from Trevor Wood's Man on the Street series, you know, the Jimmy Mullen books, I think Sherlock Holmes could go and find out what happened. I think that's who I'd pick, because I'd have been in some scrape that I shouldn't have been in, and he's the man for the job.
I don't even know you that well, and yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, I have a habit of getting into scrapes, you see, Donna. Because I like saying yes to stuff, you know, like, because if you say yes to things, you're only going to grow as a person, aren't you? You know, you're only going to have more to say for yourself, more to write for yourself, more life experience to draw from. So I'm constantly like, yeah, I'll try that. Unless I've done it before and I know it's not for me. But if I've never done it, I'll always try and say yes. So I end up in all sorts of places and things I shouldn't be doing. But it's all life, isn't it? You know, it's there for living.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the most interesting thing you found while doing research, or what's the biggest research rabbit hole you've fallen down?
Oh my gosh, those rabbit holes go deep at times, you know, and suddenly you've been researching something like sort of blisteringly awful for the best part of a day, and you really wish that you hadn't done it, and you wish you could forget them. I don't know. There's a certain method of killing in the new 30 Miles trilogy book, And Your Enemy's Closer, that I got from Mr. Red Dog Press himself, Sean Coleman, who said I could have it, and it really helped me with putting the finishing touches on that book and tying together the main mystery of that book. But all I'll say is it involves a dumpster. For those who've not read it, it involves a dumpster and sonic waves and how you could kill somebody without laying a finger on them. And it's drawn from real life, but researching those situations, really, really fascinating. But I've been like, on your phone, you've got like, okay, Google, my phone's gonna wake up now if I say that. But like, I remember driving along and like, it was a summer's day and the windows were up down in the car, and I was at the traffic lights, and I just like thought of a plot point, and I was like, okay, Google, how long will, what state will a body be in if it's been in a cricket bag in 6 degrees centigrade of river water for 6 months? And I looked across, and the people at the traffic lights were like, who just heard me ask this like most awful thing. But then again, and I'm like, it's all right, it's my job. Like, it's my job to what? Go throw people in the river? Is that what? What a weird guy. So I do enjoy the research. I really, really like, but sometimes I've gone too far. With like doing the personal stuff, like going to places and meeting people. Like I've ended up in places and talking to people I definitely shouldn't have, or it was fine to talk with them, but some of them have tried to, I've got to word this quite carefully, continue the relationship from that point. And I've had to step back from a couple of situations, which, because I also believe in confidentiality as well, so if you tell me something, because you'll be honestly absolutely amazed about how many people want to come and tell you stuff when they find out you're a writer. They just want to come and tell you the maddest stuff that they know or the maddest stuff that they've heard. And if they come to tell me that, knowing that I'm a writer, I say to them like, can I use that? And they're like, I want you to use it, so that's cool. I'm always happy with that. But if I know their names and where they're from and things like that, I'll obviously never ever cross any line like that at all, because I just don't really know what they'll do to me if they found out I'd name them in a book. So I keep it very, very separate. But yeah, definitely there's places and invitations I've had to turn down a couple of invitations to stuff that were really had bad news written all over it. It's the best way to put it.
I find working in retail also allows people to tell you stuff that you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
They tell you anything. I don't know you. I see you for 2 minutes. What the hell?
I think sometimes that's, because you're a very friendly person, Donna, and some people, it's just very nice to like, how you doing? I get in trouble all the time for chatting too much to people, but I know deep down I'm a people person, so, and I like chatting, I like conversation, but I also like, I think a smile goes miles, and your own smile and your own kindness and your own respect you give people can mean so much to that person, so I think you're just a warm person, Donna, and I think that's why people open up to you.
Yeah, I know. I need to stop that. I think no, I couldn't if I tried.
I can't picture you just going cold.
I can be quite grumpy at work when people are pissing me off. Trust me, that's my
Oh, really?
Yeah, I get quite angry. Do you hide any secret jokes or messages or Easter eggs in your books?
Yeah, every book that I've written, apart from the biography ones that I'm not supposed to talk about, every book that I've written exists in the same universe, whether my publishers know that or they don't. So there's always crossovers of places and characters, landmarks, which is certainly with Blackstoke, which is a horror, and a real sideways step for me. It was an accidental horror, by the way. I didn't mean it. It just got really disgusting. And it was just, we're going to have to call this a horror. And Sean and everyone at Red Dog was so great about it. They were like, look, it's disgusting. We know it's not your usual thing, but we really like it. But it just became disgusting. I was trying to write a quaint little mystery, and then and then I started looking at the thing like, can I really write that? Go on, let's try. Yeah, can I? Yeah, go on. You know what I mean? And like suddenly I've got this absolutely disgusting book. But anyway, sorry, I love that book. But trying to key that and to set that in the same universe as, say, the 30 Miles trilogy, it's kind of hard because that's supposed to be, you know, pretty realistic and based, you know, very much on fact and real circumstances. No matter how fantastical certain circumstances may be in that book, they're all rooted in some real, you know, real situation. So yeah, there's definitely, and that leads to loads of Easter eggs. You know, sometimes I'll put in the odd line or word, perhaps, that only my friends will know, just to make them laugh. And that's, yeah, and certainly I think it's getting less and less obvious now, actually, because you know, with every book I just want to get better and take my career more seriously with every book as well. And I always want to, you know, I want for the next book always to be, you know, the next best thing I've done, or I always want everyone to be better than the last. So I know that certainly my family have started seeing less of me in my books the more I've written, and which is a good thing, I think. You know, it means that I'm sort of growing up and getting the hang of it a little bit more all the time. But at the same time, you know, they still say that they still claim that they know it's me, you know, with some of the things. And obviously, like I think it was the 30 Miles trilogy, it was the narrator, Warren Brown, of the books. He said, blimey, you're a Guinness man, aren't you? And he said, barely anyone puts down a pint of Guinness in that first Far From the Tree book, you know. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, you know. So I also think as well that when you're writing, you know, you bear a bit of yourself every time you type. Some of you comes out whether you want it to or not, always, even if you're not planning it to, you know. So it's part of your work, it's part of your makeup as a writer, you know. And I don't want to ease those things off. It's like what we were saying before we came on air, Donna, about how, you know, find out what makes you weird and unique and make people pay money for that, and that apparently is the root of all happiness. I'll have to find out whose quote that was. So I'm definitely embracing my own weirdness in my work and my own quirks, and I'm obviously, you know, I'm very comfortable with who I am. I know who I am. I know I'm an absolute goof. I know I like writing in a pub and drinking Guinness while I work, and you know, I am a creature of habit. I can't change any of those things. But so I hope that people keep enjoying reading about those things.
I was going to say, it seems to be working all right for you, so you must be doing something right.
So far. There's obviously a market out there for grinning goofballs.
And the cute little chubby cheeks.
Oh, don't. Yeah, well, yeah, right the way through the family, right the way through the family. Oh, I must say thank you, Drew. Thank you very much. Now, look, that is service, isn't it? Look at
nice.
That. Nice. Thank you. Super dude. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. Totally. Oh, I was going to say I forgot what question I was going to ask you, but I haven't. It's fine. They're all in there. When you're editing, got them all up there. Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't need them written down. When you're editing, what's your most overused word or phrase?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's I have a habit of perhaps not being a phrase, but saying apparently my agent and editors know when I'm enjoying myself because I really over-egg the description of it. Like if I'm really enjoying something, I'll use 4 lines when 1.5 or 2 will do. So apparently that's a trait of mine that they're really doing well to ease out. In fact, I think it was 30 Miles, And Your Enemy's Closer, clocked in at 80,000 words when I sent it. Oh, no, 82, I think. And when they'd finished with it, it came in at 67. So it was like, wow, they really trimmed, you know. Well, on one hand, you could tell I really enjoyed myself writing that. But on the other hand, you know, I need to, you know, and obviously I'm still improving, still trying to improve, still honing and trying to get better all the time. I don't know. You've really got me thinking that. I really don't know what phrase that maybe actually. Yeah, maybe I like a good actually in there, possibly. But I don't know. I'll have to, you know what, I'm going to get in touch with my agent and editor after this and say, What do I overuse?
You know, they'll come back with seconds with like a list, and you'll be like, oh.
Oh yeah, huge one, yeah. Honestly, they might just say Guinness. They might just say you have your characters drinking far too much Guinness in these books.
But what was your favourite first as an author?
What a good question. First one star was special because I loved it. You know, it was like I love really negative criticism. I really love it because I find that more valuable than anything, because it just puts like a rocket under me to succeed. So when I first started, obviously, we all, you know, all authors, all writers of any kind, whatever it is you're writing, you all experience rejection, because writing is such a subjective thing. So I'm on, if I count all the agent rejections and then all the publishing rejections, you know, for books and whatever, up to yesterday, I had another rejection just yesterday. I'm on well over 400, you know, and you just have to have the thickest, you know what, I don't care. You know, it's like, it's one of those, like, I literally don't care if you don't like it. It's about timing and luck and finding the right person, the right eyes at the right time. But no, I remember when, back in 2013, when I first sent A Wanted Man out, and at the time it was called something different. An agent in America said, "Don't ever waste my time again." And that was like, wow, you know, that was an introduction, but I loved it. I loved it because it made me so determined to prove her wrong, so determined. And I'm still there now, you know, almost 10 years later, still trying to prove that person wrong. Whether anything I've done to this point counts as proving her wrong, but I'm going to keep going until I feel like I've properly shown her that, you know, there you go, you know. So while I'm all, you know, sunshine and giggles, quite literally the sun's coming through it, I'm also very, 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 very driven. But another first was my very first book. When it came out, we did an event at a converted, no, sorry, it was an old train station that had been repurposed and what's the word, refurbished. It isn't rehabilitated, refurbished. And I invited my primary school teacher, from year 1 and 2. So she was there when I was 5, 6, 7, and she was the first person who ever said, you know, aside from my parents, who said, "You're not bad at writing, keep going." And she came to that launch night for that, and because I invited her, and just having her there and giving her a signed copy of my book was just, I think it was one of the greatest moments of my whole life. That I really do, because it meant so much to me. But she cried, and not that I was happy to see her upset, but I also feel that teachers just don't get enough of the respect that they deserve. You know, teachers are so formative, and she literally gave me the encouragement and the love of reading. And you know what's even more interesting? She lives 2 doors behind me. She lives 2 doors that way. And I just saw her sitting in her window as I walked past before. You know, she's deep into her 80s now. And I just think these people just need all the love and respect in the world. They really do. Mrs. Twist, if you're listening, God love you.
I think my year 1 and 2 teacher was Mrs. Lee, and I still remember as well. So yeah, they are special.
Isn't it lovely? And at that age as well, it's so important. And you know, I often talk to, you know, on the Blood Brothers as well. There's Sean Coleman, as we've mentioned, but there's also Chris McDonald, who's a excuse me, a little bit of the COVID cough still there. Negative. He's a primary school teacher, and I just don't know how he does it. And he's had 7 books out this last year. No, 8. No, 9. 9 in 2 years it is. And I just don't know how the man does it, because he's obviously playing such a formative role in young people's lives. You know, it's just incredible. So yeah, a teacher is another thing I'd love to have done, but I guess I'll have to say that for another lifetime now.
Yeah, I think when I interviewed Chris, I think he said he just doesn't sleep because he's got young children. So I think that was his answer. We write so much.
Yeah. He's such a star man, that guy.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's lovely. I really enjoy talking to him as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, a very, very nice guy and one heck of a writer. And I've read some of the stuff he's got coming up as well. And I think if it's all right for me to say, Chris, but we ain't seen nothing yet. So some of the stuff he's got coming is so good. And also the same for Sean. Sean's got something new as well, which is absolutely astonishing. So yeah, and I also believe in bigging everyone up. You know, we all need an encouragement. You know, we all have days when we don't believe in ourselves or whatever. You know, and we need someone to pat us on the back and go, "You're doing just fine. You're doing just fine," because we are doing just fine. We're all doing just fine.
Yes, I try and tell you lot this because you're just quivering wrecks of insecurity. Honestly, it's hard work trying to boost all your egos on a daily basis. It's exhausting, honestly. Just if all of you could just take one day where you're like, nope, I'm okay, I'm fine. I know I'm good at my job, it's all good. But no, you're just a mess.
No, I know. Well, I was really lucky enough to have a chat with Sarah Vaughan the other day, whose book Reputation came out yesterday. And she is just, what she's doing is so amazing. Netflix series coming out very, very soon. And Reputation is astonishing. And she just said that she gets the most terrible imposter syndrome. And I'm like, you're Sarah flipping Vaughan, you know, how do you have, you know, and she's the most fabulously down to earth person, you know. Yeah, so I know just what you mean.
Yeah, it's good job us bloggers and readers are out there to try and boost you up again, isn't it? So you don't.
I know. This is it. But the work, the stuff that you do for us is just unbelievable, and I do believe that writers owe so much to bloggers, and because it's like a selfless support. It's just absolutely selfless, and always there to help. I mean, honestly, and the great thing is I've made so many friends who are bloggers as well through this, you know, like, because we know each other now, Donna, you know, that's how it works now. We're mates now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you know, it's like, that's it. Yeah, you know, it's as easy as that. And I just feel like we're one big family on all sides of the page. I really do. You know, the people in the industry, you know, on the sort of like actually in the publishing houses, you know, through bloggers, through authors, through any kind of reader. I think we're just all in the same boat. It's one of the reasons I love the crime writing world so much, is because everyone's just so cool and supportive. They really are. Made friends for life in this, seriously.
Yeah. And it's so lovely. Everyone is just lovely, and they always have time for you and stuff. It really is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I think at the end of the day as well, I mean, we're all in it because we love books. We're all absolute geeks for books, aren't we? Like I am. Yeah. Like I haven't even told my wife that I went and bought more this morning, and you know, I don't know how to tell her. So I've literally took them in and like tried to hide them up. You know? Like no one will notice them here. And then, but it's through a love of books that we're all in it for the same thing, aren't we? We just love stories. We love to be excited and entertained and taken different places. Honestly, I think the written word is the most powerful thing in the world, and this is what's brought us all together. Sorry, that's quite a grand statement, but it's, you know, I'm not going to be like Michael Jackson, heal the world on my soapbox here, but I do think that the written word will give people everything they want, you know, gives you all the opportunities. At least that's what I say in schools. I do pre-COVID, I was doing a lot of work in schools, and I think it's starting to pick up again, but I think it's going to be next year, really, next academic year, when it really picks up properly. But it's the most important thing I'll ever do, is going into schools and talking to young people about reading and writing, and how it can, you know, it doesn't matter what career you want, you know, reading and writing will get you there.
Yeah, I've had so many times that people say I wanted to write and I couldn't, you know, I didn't know that was an option. And that's quite sad. And at least people have found it later, but it's a shame that people weren't encouraged years ago at school. But I mean, I wasn't, I didn't know it was an option either. So
no. What are you writing yourself?
Kind of. I done NaNoWriMo, but I need to finish it. Yeah.
See, that's it. But if you're brave enough to write, we're all writers. So this is just two chats between two authors here, Donna. That's the way it is. Honestly, I think if anyone is brave enough to pick up a pen, pencil, type, whatever, we're all writers.
Yeah, I will. When I stop taking so many blog tours on and stuff, then I'll actually have time to finish it.
Oh God, how many books have you got on the go at the minute?
I've started one this morning. I need to read 2 by the 8th, which isn't too bad. Then I've got another, at least 3 or 4 that I've promised people I'll read. So I read 28 in February, so that's one a day, literally.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
28 in February, because I need a bit of that mojo, Donna, seriously, because I've got 18 on the go at the minute, and I'm like a page of one, a page of another page. I am, and because I love reading, I love getting sent books, it's amazing, and I never want to say no to people when they send me a book, so I'm always like you know? So I need to clear the decks a little bit and get there, and then all will be well. There's just so much good books out there though.
I know, and Graham Bartlett's is one that I'm dying to read.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that's very good. So yeah, although I don't have to read it till June, so in my head, like I don't have to read it yet, but I really want to. So I'll push that up, I think.
Yeah, some books, you know, you're a little bit like with your TBR pile, like yoink, you know, just whack it straight at the top there, you know. Yeah. I think I'm trying to work out whether C.J. Box, the American author, is my favorite author. I think he could be my favorite living author, and that is no disrespect to all the amazing authors I know. It's just his Joe Pickett series. The new one came out yesterday, Shadow is Real, and I think it's book 21 or 22 of that series. And when it started, the main character, Joe Pickett, his kids were like 3, and now they're grown women, and it's like, I just feel like every year, every March when a new one comes out, I'm checking in with that family, and he better not do anything to them, honestly. I can't bear it. Yeah. So, but these people, I mean, they're rock stars to me. Like, he is an absolute rock star to me. Same with, you know, I can't believe it sometimes. You know, when you go places, and I know, I was in Whitley Bay, and you were going to come up as well, weren't you, Donna? But I still get that same thing. Like, do you want to come and sit over here? And it's like, oh my God, I can't. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I know. I was at Harrogate last year, and I was just sitting reading, drinking a coffee early one morning, and Ian Rankin just walked past and said good morning, and I was just like,
oh my word. You see, such cool people everywhere. I know. Did you enjoy Harrogate?
Loved it. I got home at 6 o'clock on Sunday. By 9 o'clock, I'd booked my hotel for this year. Couldn't wait. Yeah, loved it. Amazing. Loved every second.
Oh, that's well. I will see you there because I'm there this year as well. So we'll see you.
I finally get to meet you. Yay!
I know. Hopefully
Trevor. 3 times I've tried to meet Trevor, and I think he had COVID, and then something else happened. And actually, we were at Harrogate, but we didn't bump into each other. And then when I messaged him, he'd already left. So 3 times I've tried to meet that guy. I mean, I don't know whether I should just take the hint or.
Oh no! He is a guy who is so deserving of his success as well. You know, he's such a lovely man. Whenever I go to Newcastle, he always tells me off if I've not stayed at his house. You know, he said like, why are you going staying somewhere else? Like, you could just come stay with me. He's such a lovely guy. Who is that?
That's Trixie.
Hello.
She does like to come poke her nose in.
Bless.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, isn't she?
Oh, I should have added. I have 2 dogs. Hello. Hi. Oh my word. Hello. Look, he is.
I know. Just when I look on my YouTube channel, there's just ears in on all the stills of all the videos. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Please forgive me. Slight segue. What breed?
She's a Yorkshire Terrier, as far as we know. She's a rescue. So
is she? Oh, she's beautiful. Because I have 2 Yorkies, so Yorkshire Terriers and Shih Tzus. Yeah, so slightly puggier, princessier faces than this beauty here. Yes, we've got a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old puppy. Messy.
Yeah, and hyper and crazy, I would imagine.
Yeah, like whenever I come here, my wife says, "Do you want to bring the dogs?" I'm like, "Nope." No, not gonna get anything done. Nope. Nope.
I'm just going to ask you a few of my silly questions now, as we've been serious.
Go for it.
So, who is your first celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush? Gosh, that's a rub one. I can't really remember. I think most people my age will say Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell. But I don't know whether I was more Jessie from Saved by the Bell, who was, I can't remember who played it. But you know, the other one in Saved by the Bell. Yeah. April O'Neil from the Turtles, obviously, that being the cartoon. No, I was a very late bloomer. So I haven't had many, you know, I had one girlfriend before I met my wife. And it was like immediately when I met my wife, it was like that one, that's the one there, that one there. Yeah. So yeah, I was a late bloomer. So yeah, I didn't know what girls were until way too late.
Well, you snagged one, so you're all right.
Yeah. Well, no, found one that will port with me. And even that's touch and go. Oh, you're going to come here. See, the pub dog's coming over to say hello now. Treacle, come here. Hello. This isn't my dog. Treak, come here. There you go. Hey. There you go. He always comes over and says hello.
Where's the funniest or strangest place you've ever woken up?
Woken up? It sounds quite X-Filesy, but a cornfield, but it was nothing to do with aliens. Woken up on a beach. Cornfield, for sure. I don't think there's anywhere like more worse than that, actually. Or not more worse, worser, more worse. I don't know whether it's supposed to be a writer, you know. I haven't got a clue. No, definitely a cornfield, but that was my after my 21st, and I fell off the fence at the back of our house, and I cut my back here, and I still have a scar from when I fell off the fence, and I just slept where I lay, and woke up on the morning after my 21st, still had a can of John Smith's in my hand. That's what it is.
If I were to ask your dearest what your most annoying habits are, what would they say?
Toilet talk, probably. I like making the kids laugh, so toilet talk is always a very easy way of doing it. Apparently, I try out dialogue at home, like kind of just it. I didn't realize I was doing it, but I'll do like the same line, like, you know, let's just pick, I don't know, you didn't believe me, you know, say that line. Like, so I'm wandering around the house going, you didn't believe me, you didn't believe me, you didn't believe me. And I'm trying it out in all I didn't know I did it at all, but I'm apparently a nightmare. Like when you know, when lockdown hit and we were all forced to, you know, like stay at home all together, like Mrs. Parker was like, are you all right? Are you having some sort of episode? Like a daily massive breakdown. That's particularly bad when it's during the months of when I'm writing a first draft. That's particularly bad in those periods. But no, I have loads of. You mean like I think I just annoy the hell out of Mrs. Parker all the time. Again, like I think the key to marital happiness is find someone who accepts that you're weird. And I think, God bless her, she's a saint. Honestly, she's an absolute saint, my wife.
Well, to be fair, she's signed up for better or worse now, so she's tied in whether she likes it or not.
Well, this is it. Apparently, I'm stubborn as well. You know, and I think in this industry you have to be, so it helps me in that way. But yeah, apparently I'm really stubborn.
Well, I haven't got any more questions for you, I don't think. Well, not this time anyway. I'll save some for next time.
Excellent. And as well, I will see you in Harrogate too.
Yes, absolutely. And I will look forward to that very much.
Yeah, likewise. Well, and thank you so much. It's been lovely having a chat with you. It feels like it was just us having a natter and nothing, you know, nobody else
Yeah.
was here. You know what I mean?
That's
Like, it just felt like we're having a nice chat about all sorts. But I've had a lovely time, Donna. Thank you so much. And thanks again for bearing with me while I sorted out
Oh,
my
yeah.
family and COVID.
No, that's fine. So just before we go, would you like to tell everyone where they can get your books from and where they can find out more about you if they would like to?
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, you could go to robparkerauthor.com. There's all sorts on there that's semi-regularly updated, but I'll just say you can find me at Rob Parker Author on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, I think, like that. But if you really want to get in touch, which I'd love to hear from anyone anytime, it's Twitter is the one that would usually find me, because I usually get sort of found by people from previous jobs and stuff on Facebook to kind of limit the amount of time I go on there. So yeah, anyway, sorry, Sensible. Come on, Rob, Sensible. You can get my books are all over the place, all good. I'm trying that you can obviously go to the Big River website if you really want to. It's all on there. But my 30 Miles trilogy is an Audible exclusive, so you go there and you can get that. In fact, my Far From the Tree is about to drop on Audible Plus. I hope I can say that. Don't know whether I can, but I'm going to do it anyway. Haha! So there we go. But yeah, the series is on there. The third book in that series will be out later this year, early next year, depending on how it goes, and then whether Brendan Foley behaves himself. And you go to the reddog.co.uk, reddogpress.co.uk. My Blackstoke and Far From the Tree are on there, but Waterstones will have everything you need as well. But if you go to, it's bookshop.org, isn't it? And you could get all my books on there, and you'll be helping out your local bookshops, your local indie bookshops. So head over there. And thank you for everything, Donna. Thanks for the opportunity as well.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome.